All right, well, my name's Matt with SeaLife. Today we're going to be looking at the new iPhone cell phone case. This is going to come in a hard or a soft plastic container for it. Open this up, there will be a shield to protect the back of the housing. And this is the actual housing out here that is going to be depth rated to 130 feet. It is a little bit larger because this will take anything from an iPhone 7 all the way up to the new iPhone 12s. It is iPhone at this point only. We are looking at having an Android app available for it, but it will fit in the same housing. That's available probably the first quarter of 2021. To open this up, we're going to push the little red cam lever in and twist this. And your iPhone is just going to drop directly into the housing. Now there's a bow arch up here that is going to keep the cell phone in place. Depending on the size of the cell phone, we do have removable fingers in the bottom that will help to keep the cell phone in place. Right now this is an iPhone 8, so that is the larger ones. If you have a bigger phone, we've supplied you with a whole supply of different little rubber plugs that will just slide in here and will keep the cell phone very tight in place. Also, if there's any buttons on your phone, you could remove these so that you're not affecting any of the buttons on the side of the phone as well. What we're going to do first off is turn on the housing. There's an on-off switch over on this side. We're turning that on. In the meantime, turn on your iPhone. Okay. And then we're going to go to our SportDiver app. It's a free app that's downloaded off the web. And I'm just going to activate that. And what it's going to do is look for the signal that the housing is transmitting. And so I'm going to put the camera or the phone inside the housing and slide it all the way to the left. You want the lens to be as far to the left outside of the housing window as possible. So now I've got the two are looking for a connection together. You will see a power level for the phone up on top, and there's a power level for the housing down below as well. The housing itself is going to take two AAA batteries. Do not use lithium batteries. Now what this is going to do, the two have recognized each other. So now I've got the battery for the iPhone and I've got the battery for the housing. What this is telling me to do right now is take this handy dandy device, take the cap off the top of the iPhone housing. We're going to perform this, and it's going to give you a vacuum seal on the housing. And there's a little blue arrow that comes across in this area. When it gets to the right pressure, it's going to go into the good area. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and right now it's in the good area. So the camera or the housing itself is going to run a 3.5-minute diagnostic to make sure that there's no leak, no air coming in. If air's coming in, water's going to come in. So it's going to run this down for 3.5 minutes. Now the O-ring on here, as opposed to most other SeaLife products, is not a silicone housing or an O-ring, so it is going to require silicone grease. So we do provide a tube of silicone with the camera. There's also a O-ring up on the top of this housing that you're going to want a silicone as well. Again, you just want to get it shiny. You don't want to goop a whole bunch on there. At that point, the silicone becomes a dirt attractant. Got 2.5 minutes here. So also on the bottom of this, there are 3 different 1/4-20 screw mounting positions. So you can mount this onto either the macro or the micro tray, the full-size tray, or the double tray for SeaLife cameras. This will work perfectly with a Sea Dragon light or 2 lights if you want to run the double trays. Like most other SeaLife cameras, because it's the phone, there is no red color correction program built into the phone. So we do provide one color correction filter. So if you're not using a light, you would put this on the front of the housing, and then you'd be able to have color correction. Right now, I've got a warning on the back of it, said that it's detected a leak and to keep pumping. So I'm going to, oops, now I've got too much pumping, so I'm going to release the air. If you do get air inside the housing, if it does detect a leak, you're going to get a leak detection signal and you're going to get an audible signal. So unfortunately, we have to open this up, turn off the housing, and start the process over. One other nice feature with this is there's a little gold-plated bar at the bottom of the right-hand side of the housing, and that is a moisture detection indicator. So if the housing does leak and water starts coming in, you're going to get the audible leak detection. If water gets in there, you're going to get the audible moisture detection as well. What this is going to do is the housing is going to go into the Bluetooth setting on the phone and find out all of the different settings on the camera that you have. So say if you have a 3-lens camera, I only have a 1-lens camera on here, but if you have a 3-lens camera like the new phones are coming out with, you can go in and select lens and you can say, I want the macro setting, or I want the wide angle lens setting, or I want the standard setting. We will have some manual control of the camera. We will have exposure values that we can change, and we also have white balance. Now there's no manual white balance with this, but you will actually be adjusting the temperature, the Kelvin temperature, up and down. The lower the number, the bluer the lights, the hotter the number, higher the number, the redder the lights that are going to be in there. So again, if you're not using artificial lights, you can do manual adjustments to try and come up with a good picture. The 2 AAA batteries are probably going to last about 50 hours of continuous use is what we're shooting for. The life on your cell phone is just based on how many pictures you take, how much video you take, and stuff like that as well. So it's better to turn your phone off in between dives. Again, you just pressurize the seal, make sure you have a good seal for it, and you should be good to go. There is a slot when we open this back up to put a moisture muncher, and that's going to be the little tube of desiccant that helps to keep the housing from fogging up. And it's going to come in a little packet like this. You can also pick up more of the moisture munchers at Aquatic Adventures. They're in stock here as well. It is going to come with a wrist lanyard to put this on. It does attach to the right-hand side of the camera, and it also comes with a spare set of O-rings. So you have an O-ring on the outside of the seal and an O-ring seal up on the top. So now I've got a good pressure. It says everything is good, so I'm just going to put this lid back on. This is going to help you to prevent bumping the release valve up on top, so it's not going to become unpressurized during your dive. So right now, if I push the shutter lever, I'm going to end up taking one picture. If I come down to mode, on the side of this also there's a little blue bar under the different mode settings. So I'm going to come down, and now I'm in video mode, so it's very easy to navigate through. Start and stop videos just by pushing the shutter lever one more time. If I come back down to mode once again, I'm going to go into the system settings. And this, the very first one is going to be the exposure value. If I want to change that, I'm going to hit the OK button, and then I can go up and down with the different arrows to change the exposure settings. So you do get some manual control of the camera. A lot of phones have different live versions where you get a small video every time you take a picture. You can access that as well. So rather than just taking JPEGs, you can take a JPEG with a 3-second video after every shot. So that way, if you don't like the shot you've taken, you can go into your post-photo editing, pull different pictures out of the 3-second video as well. So that's a real nice feature to have. We can come down to power saver. I've got mine set for about 3 minutes. So after 3 minutes, the phone will actually go to sleep. I can touch any button and it will wake it back up. If you don't do that and the phone turns off, there's no way to turn the phone back on while it's inside the housing. So it's very, very easy to use, a very intuitive drop-down menu system, and the buttons are oversized, once again, kind of like the piano keys on our other phones. These are going to be workable with cold water gloves on as well. So this is the new SportDiver iPhone case. This will fit all the way up to the iPhone 12s that were just introduced with the use of these little pegs. and the bowspring up on top. So come to Aquatic Adventures to pick these up.